The Detroit Lions are on an 11-game win streak after a gritty win against their divisional rivals, the Green Bay Packers, at home on Thursday Night Football while fighting for the #1 seed, trying to stay ahead of the Eagles, who just won their 9th straight over the Panthers on Sunday. They definitely want that playoff bye. It would help a lot to get to the Super Bowl and for their team's injuries. They have 7 more players on IR than any other team in the NFL. And it's hilarious, the Lions might need to win damn near 15 games just to win their division. But this team just played 3 games in 10 days, won them all, had a lot of injuries, but now this team has 10 days to rest before they take on the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. It's the game everybody's been waiting for. The Bills have handily won their division by now, but they just dropped their 3rd game of the season to the Rams after winning 7 straight, leading them to a 10-3 record and tying them with the Steelers in the playoff standings. And Pittsburgh takes on Philadelphia at 4:25 as well on Sunday. So there's 2 huge games that are going to shape up the NFC and AFC playoff picture for the higher seeds. The last time these 2 teams played, the NFL wanted to see Josh Allen on Thanksgiving, but little did they know the NFL was going to let Detroit get hot as they finished their 2022 season 8-2. One of their losses sadly came to the Bills from a phenomenal comeback by Josh Allen to Stephon Diggs to kick a game-winning field goal in the final seconds of regulation. It still hurts, but that game is one of my favorites over the past few years. It was so exciting. The Lions were the huge underdogs, and they put up a great fight against one of the best teams and best quarterbacks. In that game, Josh Allen threw for just over 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick, where Goff had similar statistics, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns with no picks. We all remember that one play. But the difference in these quarterbacks' performances came where Josh Allen ran for 78 yards off 10 rushes. And his rushing ability has been on full display this season, for instance, against the Rams last weekend. On Sunday, Allen threw for over 340 yards, threw for 3 touchdowns, rushed for 3 touchdowns, and had 82 yards on the ground in their big loss against the Rams. And it's not just playoff implications that this game brings. The winner of this game will most likely be the front runner for the MVP conversation. It's been Josh Allen as of now, but wins are a quarterback stat, and if he wins, he'll continue to be #1. But if he loses and drops his 4th game of the season, Lamar Jackson has 5 losses, Patrick Mahomes isn't playing his best ball, most likely it will be Goff. Because if the Lions win this game, I don't see how you can ignore a 13-1 Jared Goff doing the things he has done this season for the Lions. I don't think the quarterbacks are going to be thinking about this going into the game, but it's just going to be something that comes along with winning this brutal matchup. The area which I think Detroit comes into this game having the advantage, besides it being at Ford Field, which is huge, is they average 151 rushing yards per game, which ranks 4th in the NFL. While the Buffalo Bills defense ranks 19th in rushing yards per game allowed, averaging 123.1. I believe the Lions will be able to run the football and control the game. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery have been amazing so far this season, especially Jahmyr Gibbs. He is coming off his worst game of the season, but it was against Green Bay, who has a phenomenal run defense, and the Lions' offensive line was banged up. And I'm going to keep bringing this up. The Lions and Packers had played 3 games in 10 days. They played on Thanksgiving, and they both played on Thursday Night Football the very next week. Both of those teams are going to have some rest, and they're going to look a lot sharper on Sunday. Jahmyr Gibbs leads all NFL running backs in explosive run rates by a significant margin. His is at 17.8%. The running back league average is 10.6. Gibbs has had at least a 15-yard rush in every single game this season except against the LA Rams. And he is averaging 5.7 yards a carry. 5.7. That's unbelievable. And David Montgomery has been phenomenal. Gibbs and Montgomery combined lead all running back duos in missed tackles forced on run plays, 103 and rushing touchdowns this season. Both of these guys really opened up the offense. In addition to the receiving game last week it combined 11 receptions off 11 targets. You can see these guys in the screen game a ton, and they can pick up a lot of yards. 2 years ago, St. Brown had 122 yards off 7 receptions and 10 targets. He's been phenomenal this year. Didn't have a huge game against Green Bay, but it wasn't needed. He was heavily covered and focused by the Green Bay defense, but that allowed Tim Patrick and Jameson Williams to have phenomenal games and really show up big. Also, St. Brown, when needed, came through in the big moments. A statistic I want to talk about is that the Bills' defense ranks 9th in passing yards per game allowed. You may think that's really good. However, I think it's a bit misleading, and I think Jared Goff is going to continue to work defenses over the middle of the field and have no problem putting up big numbers in this game. You look at defensively, their passing yards per game allowed. San Francisco, that's against Brock Purdy coming off an injury and in the snow. Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray's been streaky. Jags, Trevor Lawrence isn't good. The Ravens, they got destroyed in that game. Lamar Jackson didn't need to throw the ball. Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes isn't playing that good a ball this season. Will Levis and the Titans, only 200 yards, it's expected. Geno Smith isn't having that good of a season. The Dolphins twice, only 200 yards allowed. That's fine. Tua Tagovailoa hasn't been playing amazing. You get to the Colts, who they allowed 240 yards to. The Jets, 272 with old Aaron Rodgers. And 2 losses, Matthew Stafford, 320 yards. And 331, CJ Stroud. I feel you could argue there's a strong disparity between the good teams and the bad teams this season. It's shown in the standings. The Bills, when they've played strong offenses, they've lost. The Ravens, Rams, Texans. Those are probably the 3 best offenses they faced this season. They lost every single game, and 2 of them threw the ball all over that Bills secondary. The Lions rank 1st in points per game, scoring 32 week in and week out. And it's funny, the Bills actually rank 2nd. Now, the Bills defense has allowed more than 23 points in 5 games this season. The Bills have lost 3 of them. Buffalo's defense has given up 10 points 5 times this season, but it's just not going to be one of those games. They've given up 20 2 times, 21 and 23. They lost the 23 one against the Texans, and they just haven't played that many high-scoring offenses. I believe the AFC offenses are a bit weaker. Maybe not, though. The Steelers offense is really good. Bengals offense, maybe it's just who the Bills have played. Because we know the Miami Dolphins don't count because they never do anything against any team with a winning record. I just don't see how this Bills defense is going to be able to handle Amon-Ra St. Brown putting up big numbers. Jameson Williams, Tim Patrick, Sam Laporta, this run game. Jared Goff is playing amazing. And then it may be a similar story with last week against the Rams. The Bills offense is going to have to keep up with the Lions offense, and I believe the Lions defense is stronger than LA's. There are only 2 defensive players that are still on the Detroit Lions roster that played 2 years ago, 747 days to be exact, against the Bills on Thanksgiving, and that's Alim McNeill and Kirby Joseph. Everybody else is new. You saw how Aaron Glenn brought his guys up to fight so hard, the no-name defense, the practice squad, against one of the best offenses, Jordan Love and Josh Jacobs, and they came up huge. The Lions have one of the best run defenses in the NFL. James Cook has struggled a few games this season. Obviously, Allen is running all over defenses. That's what I worry about with the Lions struggling. Edge rushers and the linebackers out. Anzalone, Campbell's going to have to come up big in this game. But hopefully, Reeder with his shoulder and McNeil with his concussion, he came back into the game. Both of them are healthy and can play well. And Za'Darius Smith has proven to be another great find of talent by Brad Holmes. Had the sack on the first drive against Jordan Love. He's put pressure on the quarterbacks throughout his first few weeks here in Detroit. He's been amazing. If he could take down Josh Allen just once or twice, it could be game-changing. The Lions do rank 23rd in passing yards per game allowed, but I think this Lions team could win by 10 points, 2 scores, because they have Terrion Arnold out there, Carlton Davis, and then Branch and Kirby Joseph, the phenomenal safety duo. Brian Branch went down with cramps during the game. This team just needed some rest, especially the defense, and you're going to get everyone coming back a lot healthier, a lot stronger, a lot more energy, a lot more stamina. Jack Campbell has been playing every snap of the game since the linebackers Anzalone and Barnes have been out, and Rodriguez. And Jack Campbell has the league high run stop rate this season and only has 8 missed tackles on the season. He's been phenomenal. Imagine if he got an interception. And as I said, Za'Darius Smith has been a great pickup. 19 pressures and 3 sacks and only 97 pass rushes so far with the Lions. My score prediction is going to be 34-30 Lions. I believe the Bills will get 3 touchdowns and 3 field goals. The Lions secondary struggles at times. Some interesting stats is that they rank first in pass interference calls given up. Terrion Arnold solo has the most out of any player in the league. And the Lions only have one pass interference call for their offense, ranking last in the NFL, which is pretty funny. But the Lions have a really good red zone defense, one of the best in the NFL. Branch has come through with a few huge deflections, saving 2-point conversions and touchdowns. I think we're going to see a lot of field goals from the Bills. And is the Bills defense better than the Packers defense? I'm not sure. McDermott's a great defensive mind, though. It will be competitive. Super excited for this matchup. I've been waiting all year. Detroit needs their Thanksgiving revenge. I believe St. Brown and Gibbs are both going to have great games, and probably Jameson Williams. The thing is, Detroit's offense has given so much on tape for other teams to look at. So many different key players. Williams, Brock Wright, Sam Laporta, Gibbs, Montgomery, the screen game, handing it off to Montgomery for a run. Jameson Williams on the end around, the Goff QB sneak, the trick plays. There's just so much on Tim Patrick. There's so much on tape. There's so much to prepare for against this offense. I don't know how any defense could be ready for everything Ben Johnson's going to throw at you. Ben Johnson really works miracles. Something else interesting, trigger warning, Falcon fans. The Lions, Packers, and Vikings are 28-3 against everybody else. Speaking of the Packers, I've seen so much media about Packers fans complaining and a lot of arguments. Probably should get off Twitter. Nothing good ever happens on there, but it's quite funny to read all of the Packers still talking about Thursday's game. Anyway, 28-3 against all of the teams is insane when the losses are only the Eagles, the Bucks, and the Rams, three of the best other teams in the NFC. Fuck the Packers. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Shakir is also probably going to have a great game, and Josh Allen is going to get a lot of rushing yards against this Lions defense. There's no doubt about that. He looks really tough against the Rams running that ball. Let me know what you think the score prediction will be, who will have a big game. I'm thinking St. Brown and Gibbs for the Lions. I thought St. Brown had a good game against the Packers. Probably not the best idea. He didn't have a crazy game in the rain. I think he's going to be the main target here for Goff against this weak Bills secondary. Not weak, but it's not one of the best in the NFL, and I don't think anyone would argue against that. And I could just see Gibbs exploding up the middle, breaking one tackle for a 30-yard gain. I'm excited. Go Lions. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.